Hello darlings, I'm StarFall Cosplay and today I'm going to show you how I made the arcade Riven sword from League of Legends. And for the first time ever on our channel, today's video is sponsored by Creality. Our friends over at Creality sent me the K2 combo. This printer is honestly a beast. I love how fast it's able to print, and the way it is set up is very intuitive and easy for anybody to get into. If you are wanting, this printer can go up to have 16 rolls of filament all for one machine. Personally, that feels like overkill. I tend to stick to one color whenever I'm making props, but if you're into making things like dragons or little flexy creatures, I do see this feature being very good for you.
I know this part is generally pretty boring in a lot of videos, so we're only going to show the quick bits that I think is important whenever you get a new item in, whether that's a printer, sewing machine, heck, even a heat gun, which is check over every part that came in so you can make sure all your parts are good. I have had instances in the past where I've been sent something and it came with broken parts. Because of that, I've been extremely picky, and I will always go through each item just to make sure it is all good. And the extra perk, doing this on video means if something is shown to be broken, I can just send that to whatever company I've ordered from and go from there. But yeah, so now that this thing is unpacked, let's jump into the actual build.
Slightly smaller than some of my other printers when it comes to its build volume at 350 millimeters squared. However, it aptly makes up for that in its printing speed. For leveling on this one, I was initially a little bit nervous, but it has a strain gauge for the level. It has a very sensitive probe that will go over the bed and make sure everything's good, so it automatically takes care of any issues for you. One of the other pieces about this is the camera. I am especially in love with this camera because I am a paranoid girly. I'm always checking on my prints, and since I can't go downstairs right now and bed rest is a awful thing, having the camera available on my phone to check in on my prints has been so good for my print anxiety. Now, while we go over the printing, I didn't get a couple pieces because I did not know you had to turn on the camera feature before starting. My bad. But here are some of the quick captures I do have of the printing process. If I would have done this on my other printers downstairs, the Ender 5 plus the Ender 6, as well as my Ender 3v1, that would have taken 8 days, 15 hours, and 30 minutes in total to print. This is also including all three of those printers running at the exact same time. Still quite a lot. On the K2, all of this was printed in 1 day, 2 hours, and 33 minutes. And if you are anything like me and you're hearing those numbers, oh my god, it is freaking amazing, especially if you're trying to crunch a build for a convention in less than 2 weeks, because oh my gosh, having to wait full 8 days just to finish a prop would drive my brain nuts if I was in crunch mode. So it's been a great couple of days. All the printing is done, and this is just a mock setup. Nothing has been glued down yet, but it is looking really good. I'm already really impressed. It feels extremely sturdy, but it's still very light compared to my normal props. This entire thing is printed at just a 15% infill, but I did up it to have 8 walls instead of my usual 4 that I do with many of my prints. So up next is just going to be resin smoothing, all of this, sanding, and then we can jump right into the paint job. So
let's get rolling.
For assembly, I made it so that the guard and the base of the blade slotted in together. This was a very tight fit, and because of how tight the tolerances were thanks to this new printer, those pieces just meshed together and they did not want to move. When I did my mock assembly, I couldn't get it apart afterwards. So pretty nice, I'd say. For my adhesive of choice, I pick JB Weld Plastic Bonder. In the past, I have been asked about the differences between the plastic bonder and the plastic weld, so I will go over that really quickly while we get this assembled. Differences. Plastic bonder works on both plastic and wood. Plastic weld does not work on wood. It will not have a sufficient hold. Plastic bonder sets in 15 minutes, is able to be sanded in 30 minutes, but receives its full cure in about 24 hours. Personally, I usually just let them sit for an entire day and then I go over my sanding because I'm not in that much of a rush. I like to pace out my projects when I can. The plastic weld sets in 5, sands in 1 hour, and full cures in 24. So while the plastic weld does set faster, it's not exactly the best to use personally when it comes to props. Plastic bonder is also good for filling gaps, so if maybe one of your pieces has a wave in it or isn't fully flush, plastic bonder will automatically fill that space for you, which means less work on the filling step. Plastic weld can only fill small dents, but it doesn't have the same strength when it comes to filling gaps. Plastic bonder is both impact and shrink resistant, which is especially nice if you're in the Midwest like I am and you're traveling to a bunch of different areas where the heat and humidity and the cold like to go whee! It's frustrating. Hooray! Plastic weld is only water and oil resistant. I haven't been able to test its impact yet, but I don't have high hopes for it. In conclusion, since plastic bonder has the compatibility with both plastic and wood, it is the superior option for assembling your 3D props. The way it cures and the way it has a strong bond on both items is just overall a better option. Next up, we got resin smoothing, covering the layers, lines. There aren't many left, but there are still some, so it's a good idea to take care of those, especially if you want to have a high quality prop. Once that's done, you need to go into your sanding with a very safety conscious mind. Resin is toxic. You do not want it on your skin, you don't want to breathe it in when it's a dust, so in order to do that, you need to get a bucket or a trough or something and you wet sand your pieces. The water will obviously trap any of the dust from doing your resin sanding, so it won't go into the air and it will not get into your lungs. You're also going to want to wear gloves. You don't want any of these particles on your skin. For your gloves, make sure they are a nitrile-based glove. I personally use a pair of nitrile dishes gloves. Latex gloves will not cut it. They are porous and they will allow chemicals and some substrates to seep through, which is why we stick with nitrile only. New day, today is paint day, so all hair pulled back, protective clothing, the works. I've already wiped down all of the sword, and unfortunately it is too cold and too humid today for us to be doing this outside, so I came over to my dad's auto body shop where we're going to be using the paint booth. So this is ready. She's going up onto the board. There we go. I forgot to film a little bit of my painting process, but let's go over it anyway because painting is very important. Once I'm done with my primer, I prefer to black wash my entire prop, especially since this sword is going together with a lot of metallics and very rich colors. The black acts as a very nice backer and base tone, especially when it comes to silver metallic paints. That black will act as a kind of reflector on the bottom, and it makes that silver pop even more than it normally would. This is especially true if you're going to be trying to put silvers over paints like grays or whites. White and gray I've noticed will mute silver colors, but the black really helps them stand out more. And that's how this beauty was made. Up next, we're going to be covering all of the other accessories for this build, specifically the helm, the side pieces, as well as the belt, shoulder, and knee armor. For this printer and how well it's worked when it comes to this sword, I would say this is definitely a cosplayer's best friend printer when it comes to big builds like this. There's still a lot I'm testing out with this printer, and as I keep going, you guys will be getting more updates here on the channel, so I do recommend sticking around for that. And now I have to get back to sanding. Oh joy! I'll see you guys on the next video.